The biggest mistake I made in my business was not hiring a professional to help me with my money. Not just my taxes, but the actual plan I had for my business. I was completely lost on how to handle taxes, what to do with profit, and how to maintain my income. I had to find a better way. That's when I found Core Financial. Core Financial is a team of tax professionals that actually care about building real relationships with their clients. They run my books, keep me up to date with my finances, and make sure I'm taking full advantage of all of my tax benefits. Are you struggling with your finances? Look no further. Core Financial is a brand that is nationwide that can help you with your business. Both Nick and I are huge fans of Core, and they can help you too. Check out howtofilmweddings.com/core to schedule a consultation today. Core Financial, real relationships, no surprises.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the How to Film Weddings podcast. My name is Nick Miller and I am joined as always by my best good buddy, Mr. John Bunn. John, how are you doing today?
Sounded like you called me John Bunn John. Kind of like John Bon Jovi. Don't call me John Bon Jovi. But I am doing really well. It's a new week. We're excited. Actually, you're in Mexico right now. Not while we're recording this, but you're either in Mexico or on your way home.
As this gets launched into the ether, I am in Mexico.
Yes, and we're excited that you had a great time. Hopefully, hope everything went well for you.
Me too.
But today we did something very special in our free workshop group, and we wanted to turn it into a podcast because we felt like the content was really, really helpful, and we wanted to give that to you. We're talking about building a better story, and we break down kind of three different parts of building a better story: building a better story before the wedding, on the wedding, and after the wedding. And so we had right at an hour of just chock full of good content, and we wanted to share it with you. Nick, what else do you want to add?
What I want to add is we are going to do another one of these free workshops in just a couple days on Wednesday, April the 14th. Okay. And if you would like to be a part of that, if you missed this one, just go to howtofilmweddings.com/free workshops. You go to howtofilmweddings.com/free workshops, and you can be put into the Facebook group so that you can be notified the next time we are going to do this on April the 14th at 2 p.m. Central Time. John, such good info. Reminder to you listening at home, we did this live. So if there's some stuff that doesn't translate a little bit, that's why. But the info is too good for us not to put it in a podcast. If you want to see what it looked like, you can always watch us on YouTube. You can go there.
It's true.
It's true. Anything else?
No, I think it's good. I'm ready for this week's episode of the How to Film Weddings podcast.
Me too. Dude, what
Nick
is
Miller.
it? John Bunn.
Oh my goodness, there's so many people chilling with us today. We're so pumped.
So exciting. I am very pumped. I'm excited to be here for our first free workshop of the spring. So excited. How are you doing today, my friend?
I couldn't be doing any better. I was just outside checking out and skimming my pool, getting it ready. It's almost warm enough to jump in, like just this close. So if I get too excited today, I might go jump in it anyway because I am pumped and fired up for this stuff, my friend. How are you?
I am very, very good. Actually, tomorrow morning in 18 hours, I am boarding a plane and going to Cabo San Lucas, Mexico, shooting a wedding there this weekend. I am very, very excited about that.
Yes, I am excited for you. I can't wait to see the footage. I just got back from Cabo. I love how cool it is that you're going there after I went there. And then when we post both of our films, they'll be so different and just seeing different styles. I don't know. I love all that kind of good stuff. Nick.
Yes.
There's a handful of people here. Every time I look down, there's more people. I'm getting a little nervous. No big deal. Because we're just two dudes that are sitting in our offices. I don't even know if Nick is wearing pants today, but more and more people. I'll leave that
up to your imagination.
Yeah. Oh, I'm imagining. But more and more people keep joining our How to Film Weddings community, and it's mind-blowing. Our main Facebook group is just creeping up to 10,000 of you. Like, what the heck?
What?
Our mastermind group is going crazy. In a good way, all the good things. And so we're really pumped to be doing these free workshops. Before we get going on those, I know I posted in the comments while we were jamming to that killer slideshow that you made, my friend. But if you can hear us, would you just post in the comments your name, where you're from, or hi, or your favorite little anecdote, whatever, just something. Just post in the comments that you can hear us and you can see us okay. We want to make sure everything's working because we want to deliver today when it comes to this content. And Nick, we're excited.
I can't see who it is, but somebody just said No Pants Nick is my favorite SoundCloud rapper. So
that would be Wes Bronner. Yeah. Wes said that. Lauren said, shout out to Masterminds.
For myself. Oh man, that's so good. That's so good. So here we are today. We are doing some free workshops here. Over the next couple of weeks, we're just going to meet in this group weekly. You will get notifications. You will know whenever we're doing that. Here's a photo that our friend Blake, the editor, actually took of us. It's a good one. I kind of like it. What are we looking at?
What are we looking at?
I don't know. I kind of like it that your face is being covered up more than mine. Just so I'm more prominent in the photo, I think. But
and you're just a little taller.
We are doing here today in the workshop group, we're talking over each other. We're excited. We are giving away a $250 gift card to B&H Photo and Video. Who out there could use a B&H gift card right now for $250? I know I could. I wish I could win it, but I can't because I'm kind of giving it away. So you have to be present. Then we will do it at the end of our workshop here today. But John, today we are talking about something really good, something really fun, and that is building a better story.
Yes, we are talking about that. I posted a week or so ago in this group, what do you want to learn about? What's, what are you struggling with? And I dropped some options. And one of those was building a better story. And it got the most votes by like 25% more than any other one. So we really just wanted to break down today how we build our stories and how to do it better, because the more that you can get good at this storytelling thing for these live events, the more you're going to stand out, the more you can charge, the more freedom you have, all those good things. So that is today, building a better story. Yes. Yes,
that is it. And just in case you don't know who we are, my name is Nick Miller. Nick Miller. It sounded like I didn't say that correctly. So much is going on in my life. So excited about everything. John, are you wearing the same shirt? You're not wearing the same shirt, but this is who we are. We do host. Yeah, we do host a little podcast called How to Film Weddings. Hopefully you listen to it. It's good educational content. We just want to give back and give you more of that. And so we're doing that today with the Building a Better Story. And John, I'm going to let you take over these next few points here of the 4 elements to story.
Also, I think it's quite comical that there's a who are we slide. You say who you are, what podcast it is, and then you move on. No need to say who I am.
I said your name and your shirt, and you talked about the deep V. I don't know.
Okay, well, whatever. It's fine. We are here today to talk through building a better story. Our good friends over at Muse Storytelling talk about the structure of story a lot. And so just the first little bit of this is stealing from their details that they have in their course. You can go deeper with them on the science of storytelling and all that good part. But we wanted to lay a foundation for you of the different elements, the structure of the story, the 4 elements to story, Nick: people, place, purpose, and plot. And so when we're talking about people, we're talking about we connect the most with these. Like you connect better with people than you do with a place or a plot, or like, so really focusing on people is really important in our films. And then you have the place, which grounds the story. It tells you where things are happening. It gives you background on what's happening, where it's happening, all that kind of good stuff. The purpose, this is what the audience actually is going to take away from the story. So we are thinking about that with our wedding films. And then lastly, the plot is just your structure of the story. You can go deeper with Muse, but that's kind of, we're going to be talking about some of these things, but we wanted to lay that foundation, the 4 P's basically of storytelling. And we're going to lean into some of those today, but anything you want to add to that, Nick?
No. And it's definitely one of those things. It's a fantastic course. John and I have been able to look through it and stuff, and it's very incredible, all about story and that sort of thing. And while it's a little bit different, but you can apply many of those principles to the wedding film. So we that's kind of a little foundation. Again, go check out Muse's course if you would like more information on that. But the thing that we want to start with, okay, the thing that I am training myself to do and I am learning to do as I do wedding films more and more and more is I'm training myself to listen more to my couples. And I don't just mean with what they say, I mean pay attention to what is going on in their lives. We're going to kind of maybe share some stuff here that we'll get to later, but like following them on social media and paying attention to what it is that they're doing. What do they like? Who are they hanging out with? What topics are important to them? Like just be listening to them. And as you talk to them, we'll get into this, take really good notes and remember things, because the more you listen to them, the more that you hear what they have to say, the better story you are going to be able to tell in their film.
Yeah. And the more you can listen, the better you're going to be able to do that. We're going to break today up into kind of 3 parts. I don't have a slate or slide for this, but we're basically going to walk through on a wedding filmmaker's perspective, what we can do before the wedding day to really gather information about the story, what we can do on the wedding day to like really capture the story correctly, what we can be thinking about. And then we're going to move into what we can do after the wedding day to during our edits, during, things we can still ask the couple for. So it's going to be before, during, and after, and we'll get into that. We can get going, I guess so, Nick. I mean, if they're ready, if you're ready, let us know in the comments. I'm a big fan of words of affirmation, guys. So the more you can tell me I'm doing great, the happier I'm going to be. All right.
Yeah.
Nick.
You kind of jumped, I think you jumped ahead just a titch there.
That's fine.
Okay.
I said I didn't make a slide for it, but I just wanted to give people a foundation for where we're going with today.
Well, one of the things that has become very impactful in creating better wedding films is figuring out keywords for the day. And this is going to be, as you talk to your couples, as you get to know them, as you are there on the wedding day, just pay attention to keys or phrases or things that are used throughout the day. You might have a couple that, says, oh, we're super fun, we're high energy, all this, but then you get into the wedding day and they're not. Like, that's just the perception they have. So you can have that information beforehand, but also take into the wedding day, write down, the 3 to 5 keywords for your wedding day for your couples, and then that can help you with your edit. Okay, John, talk about creating some conflict.
Yeah, so we hear of this all the time in wedding filmmaking. It's like, where's the conflict? Find the conflict. And I think a lot of people are like, there was no fight, so there's no conflict. And what I'm looking for when it comes to wedding filmmaking is I'm trying to cause some type of a conflict in the viewer of an unresolved moment or something that might, like, building anticipation. That's things I can be looking for when it comes to the wedding edit itself, of like, maybe I'm showing a groom standing there waiting on his bride to come up and tap him on the shoulder for a first look. You can see a wide shot of her walking up towards him. She gets really close. He gets ready to turn around, and then it cuts to like a drone shot saying a Redeemed Productions film. That caused some conflict. Like, I want to see what he did when she turned around. Or maybe it's the bride talking about the weather being really cold and there's supposed to be a snowstorm coming in and they don't know if it's going to come in. Or there's different things you can be thinking about. Little moments, if you're thinking about it, of like, how could I turn this into something that keeps the viewer engaged more? A first look, the ceremony, the walking down the aisles, or if there's a speech that's talking about something and there's like the resolution to the speech, you could cut that and put that at the end of the film. There's a lot of different ways. So that's what we're talking about when creating conflict. We do not recommend creating an actual conflict. Just a side note. Don't make people fight on the wedding day, although I've seen it. All right.
Yes. Yeah. So we want to start off what John mentioned a little bit ago is building a better story before the wedding day. So these are things that you can do to get to know your couples before you even show up. Okay. And we want to let you know that if you are showing up on the wedding day and you don't know anything about your couples, you're doing them a disservice. Now, there is kind of a caveat to this. It could be your business. Maybe you're a high volume business and you just kind of have it set up where you film the day and your films are very, this is what they are. Okay. That's not what we're talking. And by what I mean by this is what they are, you kind of have a formula and this is what you do for your stuff because you are filming, 100, 250, 300 weddings a year. Okay. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking more telling wedding film stories for more boutique, more intentional filmmaking styles. Okay. So if you want to go that direction and you show up on the wedding day and you don't know the couple, you don't know anything about them, you are truly going to give them a disservice. Right. Yes. So, John, why don't you talk about some ways that you can get to know your couples better?
Yeah, over the years, I've really started to dive in more to getting to know the couples better. And one of the first things that I do is I just start asking them questions about their story. Why did they pick their best man? How did they meet? Just by asking those kinds of questions, it turns the narrative of your conversations more into the why behind their wedding instead of just numbers and spreadsheets and data. And the more you can kind of get them to peel back those layers, the more you can become like family. And that is whenever the magic happens when it comes to the story, is when they trust you. So the first thing, asking them questions about their story. Next, you can put it on your inquiry forms and questionnaires about their story, which is super helpful. If you see here, the next slide, Nick, on mine as well, but on the Contact Us page, it says, please tell us your story. We got the arrow pointing at it. That gives you an easy way. And this is my questionnaire. I just say, please tell us your story at any and all moments you want us to know about. Where you met, how you got engaged, why you're getting married. This is important to us, for us to know elements to capture your big day. And we prep our couples and say, we really need you to, put it out there for us and give us that story so we can know more about it. And then whenever we meet with them, we go further and further into depth with that. Nick, do you want to hit the next one?
Yeah, this is one of the things that I really like to ask. And I usually do this during like my initial client consultations whenever we're on the phone, and I ask them questions like, if we're there and we can only film 3 moments on your wedding day, what 3 moments would you want us to film? Okay. Or something like, and I picked this up from David from Forestry Films, okay, after you get your wedding film back, how do you plan on using it? Like that sort of thing, just have them think deeper about why they want a wedding film or what moments are important to them and that sort of stuff. Okay. So be intentional to get to know your couples a little bit better.
Yeah, and a couple people are asking about the questionnaires. I send the questionnaire out about a month before the wedding day, but when they're initially reaching out to me too, I'm getting to know their story, and we're going to get further into that here in just a second. So,
yes,
Nick, another thing, getting footage on other days than the wedding day, whether that is, hey, we're going to go out on a shoot together, like an engagement style shoot, just offering, you're going to get to know them better the more time you spend with them, or you can have them do something like share an Apple photo album, a Google Drive. I've just started telling my couples, I don't know what I'm going to use, but any and all photos, videos from your phone. If you have a proposal video, I'm going to send you a link and just dump stuff into there and I will mess with it. And so that gives me another layer beforehand for the story.
Yes. And then whenever you set up a final get together, I would say, 2 weeks, a month out, somewhere close to the wedding, set up a timeline where you can get together and you can meet with them and you can talk with them. And every time you do that, especially that time, or if you are someone kind of like John who has a 6-month meeting and a 3-month meeting and a 1-month meeting, make sure that you're taking really, really good notes. For this wedding this weekend that I'm shooting in Cabo, I had a meeting with a couple weeks ago, and we were just talking about stuff. And I was like, as you think about your film, what do you want me to focus on? Trying to figure out the style, because I follow her on TikTok and she's really kind of silly and goofy and, does all the trend stuff on TikTok and all of that. And as we were talking to them, it's like, no, we want like a serious romantic style film. Like she said that's what they want. And so I'm writing that down. And she's like, if you want to do the high energy stuff, maybe towards the end at the dancing, that's okay. But we don't want like a crazy cold open like some of the videos that we've seen you do. That's not what we want. Okay. So I'm taking those notes and being mindful of that because I'm trying to tell the story that they want me to tell on the wedding day as best that I can.
When I'm taking these notes, I'm always asking questions. I'll ask questions like, tell me about your relationship with your family. And they will usually at that point, I don't want to say like, do you know your dad? Like that's an awkward question to ask, but like, tell me about your relationship with your family. As I'm getting to know them, it's like, oh, well, my mom raised me, my stepdad this, my dad's really not in the picture. And I'm over here taking a lot of notes so I don't keep asking about dad, things like that. And then whenever they start talking about people, I'm asking them why they're important. So tell me about your best man. Why is he your best man? Best man is Josh. We played baseball in college together. He's been there. So, like, okay, cool. Like, I'm starting to grab information, and this is going to set you apart from other people because you're getting, you're like almost like a news reporter trying to understand and uncover this mystery of everything that has led them to this point. And some of the data you don't need, some of it you do, but by creating a list of important people and why they're important and saving that in your CRM. This morning I had a call with a bride, and I know her mom's name. I know where her mom went to school. I know all these different things. We went to the same school, so it's not as weird as it sounds, but it helped me to connect and build that better relationship. So the wedding that I'm doing in a few weeks with this couple, they trust me more now. They're ready. They want to add on shoots. They've added on. It's made me more money, all kinds of things, because I'm taking these lists, creating them, and making sure I'm understanding why people are important.
Yeah. And then create a list of important moments for the couple. Like whenever I was meeting with this couple for this wedding this weekend in Cabo, we were chatting about it. And he said, yeah, we were texting one day because we were, kind of doing some long distance stuff. And they said something about, he said, hey, I'm going to marry you. Like he just like, I'm going to marry you. And she was like, pinky promise. And they literally took pictures of their pinkies like this, and then they texted them to each other. Okay. And so now I'm like, okay, I know this thing about the pinky promise, and they said they were going to get married on a pinky promise. How can I take that information and import that into their film? Whether the thing that automatically comes to mind is them walking down the street, and instead of just grabbing hands, them grab pinkies together and just hold those pinkies together, down this, something like that. And as I'm bringing this up to the couple, it's like their faces like light up and like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. Just a little thing like that. So create a list of those important moments and how you can use them. Some of them will translate, some of them won't into your final film. But if the more information the absolute better, because the more you listen.
Yeah. Sorry.
You go.
I was going to say, the more, like, you can add that as a questionnaire, like a question on your questionnaire too. Something like, what are little quirky things about you that you do that are fun? Like, what are your nicknames for each other? Like all that kind of stuff. And Nick, yes, the more you listen, the more the story comes together before the wedding day. The wedding I'm about to shoot in South Carolina at the end of this month, I know the couple's story already. I know I have had her write on her questionnaire, like when they got together, how they got together, what's the 3 most important things on their wedding day, who's important and why. And we've talked about it, and I know who's important. And so now this morning when I'm like, we should add on, like, you guys are doing a destination wedding in South Carolina, I'm realizing how important the city of Charleston is to you. Why don't we add on like a day before shoot? And a month ago, they added on a sunset sail because I mentioned it, because I was like, this would be cool for your story, because this, the boats were important, all these kinds of things. And so not only is it going to give me way better story, but it's going to make me more money and help them enjoy their film more. We've shared an album with each other, so they've given me photos from their relationship, and we're like buddies. We got on Zoom today, and they're just like, oh my gosh, I can't wait. And so anyway, the more you listen, the more the story will come together before the wedding day. Yes. And then moving on to that, do you have something you want to add?
Nope. You're doing good. Okay. You're nailing it.
Okay, cool. So we want to set expectations with our couples for how it works on the wedding day. This is something you need to do before the wedding day. So if you're thinking about it, if you don't tell them how you operate, how you work, how you plan to go, if you haven't walked through the timeline with them, it's going to get maybe a little hairy, a little confusing. So setting expectations with your couple. For example, I will tell them for speeches on the wedding day, I usually do this. And for the interviews, I usually do this. And do you get, like one of their questions on their questionnaire is, are you going to write letters? Are you going to have personal vows? And I can look at that and say, do you want to do these personal vows at your first look? Do you want to do them here? And I can walk through all these things and set expectations with them for how it's going to work on the wedding day. And I always reiterate to them, I'm not going to just stick a camera in your face. I'll set you up with your girls. I'll ask you a question. You can talk to them. I'm comfortable. If something's loud or doesn't look good with light, I'm probably going to move you, and just setting those expectations so they look at me as the professional. Nick?
Yeah. And then another thing that we do want to stress is don't push your couples too far for the sake of story. And what do I mean by this? This has happened to me before where, I talked to the couple beforehand. They were great. They really wanted to do letters and that sort of thing. And as I showed up there on the wedding day, you could tell that the bride was a mess. Like she was totally in her head. She was totally stressed out. And do you know why she was totally stressed out? It was because of this pressure that she had put on herself with this letter reading, with this letter writing. She wanted it in this certain way in her head. And so my wife, being so intuitive, showed up, looked at her, talked to her. She came out to me and said, Nick, we have to cut the letter. I know it's important, but it is ruining her wedding day because of it. This is just an example. So for that wedding, we didn't do it because it was too much for her. Okay. So you might have this great grand idea for your film and the couple might be on board with it and really want to do it. But if it's going to somehow damage the wedding day, like if it's going to take away from the wedding day or you're making it too big of a production or something like that, rethink it and consider walking away from it. So don't go overboard and go too much just for the sake of story. You're going to be able to create something awesome that they love. And maybe it's not as, the details aren't as deep or the story isn't as deep, but you're still going to be able to do something really awesome. Okay. With what you have. So feel out the room, scope out the room, understand what's going on. Don't push your couples too far.
Empathy goes a really long way on a wedding day. So definitely be paying attention to the room. And then lastly, before we move on to stuff we can do during the wedding day, I want to throw it out there. Some of you guys don't become friends on Facebook or whatever. That's fine. But we definitely recommend following and interacting with them on the social media. Instagram is great. You can, follow them. With my business account, I follow them. And if they post any photos from their bachelorette party or bachelor party or whatever, I'm going in and following and different, following people that are in their wedding party, getting to know them, interacting. And so over the 6 to 12 months, usually that I'm, booked before the wedding, I'm seeing where they went. I'm remembering where they went. I'm treating them like a person because my ultimate goal is to feel like family, but with a camera, because that's when magic happens on the wedding day. And so a lot of people don't put in the effort beforehand. And I would implore you to do it, because if you don't do that effort beforehand, it's going to screw up the actual wedding day and the edit. And a bonus, a byproduct of doing that is most every time couples are going to add on more stuff the more they get to know you, as opposed to just booking a package and then seeing you on the wedding day. It's a much better experience with your couples if you can take those extra few hours. And we're talking with all this, Nick, maybe three or four more hours of total time of work, maybe. And it's just being a good person, listening to them, taking good notes, and then being able to follow and interact with them, get to know them, and be part of their story, reiterating to them, you're there for them. They're going to be relaxed. And if you can be that before the wedding, once the day gets there, you can see the relief in their eyes whenever you get on set or, at the wedding. So,
one thing that I wanted to just share is I have a friend in town that does a bunch of commercial work. And he was like, Nick, I could never do what you do because I need that pre-production. I need that time to think about everything. And so that's really what we're talking about here is you doing as much. Yes, it's a live event and it's a wedding day and you can't control it and lots of stuff. But if you do this work ahead of time, it's just going to make the wedding day go smoother, and it's going to help you in the edit as well. So we're going to keep on going here. So we've talked about what you should do before the wedding day. Now we're talking about getting a better story on the wedding day. Okay. We told you to take those notes. We told you to put them in your CRM. We told you to make a note on your phone, something, look over them. Okay. Especially if you're, having meetings 6 months beforehand, 4 months before, time where you can even a month beforehand, you could really forget some of those important moments. So make sure that you spend some time looking over those notes from the wedding, all the meetings that you have, writing down the information. What are some story elements that you want to be sure to capture? Who are the important people that you know that you need to film? Do all of that stuff. So when you're on the wedding day, you can be prepared and be ready and not feel, like you're not prepared.
Overwhelmed?
Overwhelmed. Yeah. Yeah. You want to be just whelmed.
You can't be whelmed. It's not a thing. I've looked. Yeah. No.
What would you take on if you had an extra set of hands? What would you do with your free time if you didn't have to edit? So many of us get bogged down in the post-production hustle that we never seem time to focus on our business. John and I both felt that way. Until we found Wedditor. Wedditor is a post-production team of top wedding film editors and project managers that give your films and brand the extra eyes, ears, and hands that they need. Not only is Wedditor delivering films we love to our couples faster, but we can invest ourselves fully in other areas of our business knowing that Wedditor has our back. Be the first to know how your second shooters are doing, how those new LUTs work with your footage, and relax knowing your couples are getting the full attention they deserve on every single project. So what could you do with an extra hand? Head over to howtofilmweddings.com/Wedditor, whether you're ready to start now or preparing for next season. Be sure to use promo code HTFW for $50 off your first project. If you're interested in this service, make sure you head over to howtofilmweddings.com/Wedditor soon. Fall 2020 spots are lined up and filling up fast. Wedditor, more than freelance, more than outsourcing.
Finding the perfect song for your wedding film can be so frustrating. We spend countless hours searching for the perfect song. When it comes to licensing music, Nick and I both love MusicBed. Not only do they have the best music, but their website makes it so easy to find the perfect song and to find it fast. We have both been using the MusicBed's wedding subscription for years and cannot recommend it enough. Not only are they adding new music from incredible musicians like Chapters, The Light, The Heat, and Tony Anderson all the time, they've made it incredibly easy to search their library for mood, genre, instrumentation, and even key. So what are you waiting for? Head on over to howtofilmweddings.com/musicbed and use promo code HTFW for a free month of a MusicBed wedding subscription. howtofilmweddings.com/musicbed. And so now we're here. It's the wedding day. Like, we're there. We've built this relationship with these couples. We've gone the extra mile. We've got there. We've looked over the notes, and we're here. You know, we feel in the moment. We know their story. So because that is kind of the filter that we're shooting through the day, it's like we know that the, you know, holding pinkies, and we know that they love boats and they love the city, and we know it's like, okay, now I can really, you know, start to think about what I want to do here. You can do some, you know, pre-production stuff, knowing what the venue is, all that kind of stuff. But creating environments that allow people to be in the moment is a great way to build better story on the wedding day. And what do I mean by that? Not you're creating the full environment, but let's say you walk into where the bride is getting ready and it's loud. There's some overhead lights on. It's all messy, and the bride's sitting in the wrong spot. You should have talked to her beforehand about where she sits, but that's not today. But you walk in there and you don't want to just like walk into a room and start changing the environment, but at the same time, thinking it through and saying, okay, I want to get some good shots of this bride here. I'm going to clean up an area over here by the window. I'm going to ask some of the bridesmaids if we can get some stuff cleaned up. I'm going to leave the music on until I don't need it, but I'm setting up the environment for where I want to shoot in. And then also during some of these moments, other than like the bride prep, let's say we're doing a first look or we're doing speeches, like before the first look, you can help create the environment, not just by what's on the frame, but you can talk to the groom and say, okay, here's the thing. This is a moment right now. Like, you're about to see her, and here's what, you know, like, we want you to turn this way when you turn, but we just want you to soak in the moment. We're going to be way over here. Just be with her. If you take 2 hours, whatever, it's your wedding day. Like, we're creating these moments. And so we're setting these moments up in the best possible light, composition, but it's all working together, knowing their personality, knowing their style, knowing what's important to them, and just creating these environments for people to, you know, be free in, instead of being like, okay, stand right here, don't move, and all this stuff. It's like giving them an open environment to work in that works for your film. Nick, I talked a lot.
You did.
I rambled a little bit.
You did. No, it was good. It was good though, rambling. It was good stuff. When it comes to telling a better story on the wedding day, you know, do your best to get the audio as clean as possible. We know the importance of voiceover and spoken word and all of that in our films. So, you know, make sure the room is quiet. Make sure there aren't people. If you're doing letters or interviews or anything, you know, tell people to go outside and be quiet. Back up your audio at the ceremony, back up your audio at the receptions, get as clean as possible as you can. And one thing that we want to let you guys know that I'm sure you know, but nobody else is thinking about video besides you and your team. Okay. So I know that I have gotten so frustrated that, the makeup artist put, the bride in a certain spot when I specifically told the bride, this is where I want you to be, or the photographer keeps getting in my way, or the DJ wants to do this or whatever. But the thing is they're not thinking about video. They're thinking about the makeup. They're thinking about their photos. They're not thinking about what you are doing and what you're trying to do. So when we say that is don't be afraid to tell people what you want. You know what you need for your video. You know what you need for their story. Be mindful of that. Be mindful that the photographer, the makeup artist, they have a job to do as well, but also speak up and say, this is what I need from you. This is what I would like from you. Is that okay? Don't be a jerk about it. Talk to them and say, how can I get what I need with doing that? Okay. An example for, getting the stuff with, that you want for video. We want you to come over here, sit over here, or stand over here when the bride's getting her dress on. And we're going to turn the volume, turn down the volume on the music or turn it off. I know that moment isn't like key for necessarily like spoken word and like getting stuff, but mom might say something great to bride, or bride sister, whoever it is might say something that's really cute. And if that music is playing, it could interrupt that moment. So during those things, just turn it down and they will understand, or bring it up and say, hey, during this time, can we cut out the music? Most of the time they will understand. So that's something, because you're thinking about the story, you're thinking about that. And then another thing is prep the interviewer by saying to repeat the question. How does she make you feel? Well, she makes me feel like this. Okay. So that they're kind of narrating their story without, you having to do that. Okay. Whenever you ask them questions, try not to ask one-worded answers. Do you love her? Yes. Okay. That sort of stuff. So John, why don't you talk a little bit about getting a really good interview on a wedding day?
Yeah, a couple of the things to be thinking about. I always would recommend having a few go-to questions you can ask. Some of mine are, basically describe him to me as if I've never met him before, describe her to me. And I'm always trying to mirror the questions I'm asking to one side of the wedding to the other. And so it just makes it a little more rounded and full. So have a few go-to questions. Make sure that number 2, they are open-ended, like Nick was kind of talking about. Don't just say, are you excited? You can say, tell me why you're excited. And so that's what number 3, use phrases like tell me about instead of yes or no questions. So why don't you tell me about how you met? Tell me about how you proposed. Tell me what you're excited about. Tell me. It just is a subconscious way of getting them to tell you, not just saying what is, so you're giving them open-ended questions. And before you start to ask them those things, basically, I'm sitting here reading the next one, but when you think someone is done answering a question, this is big, just shut up for a few more seconds. So if you've asked a question, how'd you meet? Tell me about your story. Just be quiet after you've hit record for a while. Don't interrupt. There's so many times I've been trying to, do an interview. I'm in a hurry and I start to talk while they were about to gush onto something else. And I'm just like, oh no, why? I'm an idiot. Why did I do that? I'm the worst. So once you've asked these questions, just shut up and listen while you're doing that. So yeah, Nick.
Yeah, that's great. Another thing that you need to do is listen on the wedding day and get footage of what is talked about. One of the very, very first paid weddings, I think it was actually the very first paid wedding I ever had. Both of them in their letters talked about their love of their cats. And then during their ceremony, their officiant talked about their love of their cats. And you know what their cake topper was? It was a couple of cats. And so as they continued to talk about cats, I got a few shots of this cake topper of them and their cats, and I cut to that. Okay. This is a great storytelling tool to show what is being talked about. So just be listening on the wedding day. Don't, if there's a story that's told while the groomsmen and groomsmen are getting ready, that you could maybe film later in that day, or, you're listening to the letter and, he says, from that first time that I held your hand, okay, now I know that I need to get a shot of the couple grabbing each other's hands and holding their hands. So listen what's going on the wedding day and make sure that you record something about that. Again, the more you know about the people, the better you will be able to tell their story.
Yeah, I did a wedding. I'm not sure if you guys saw it, but the bride and groom had a son beforehand, and the bride was talking a lot about her son, little 2-year-old boy, and like that was a really important thing. They wanted me to get shots of Cash on screen, and I had gone to breakfast with the couple the week of the wedding, and I had gotten to know them, and like there were these really sweet, intimate moments, and she was like, "I've never been happy to have my last name. I didn't know my father. I was, like she's discussing about this story, and like out of nowhere, right before the wedding started, the bride, I hear someone say, "Hey, John, the bride needs you." And she was getting ready to walk down the aisle with her future father-in-law, and she had something really special she wanted to say to him right before, like the ceremony's happening. They're waiting to go down the aisle, and I got to go back behind where the ceremony was and have this moment where she gave him a gift that he wasn't expecting. He started crying, and she said, "I'm so proud to have a last name that means something to me. Thank you for raising your son. And I'm so thankful that you're walking me down the aisle." And I used the on-camera audio from my camera, but like so impactful. And if I hadn't built that relationship with them, they wouldn't have had me be in that moment. And so the more that you can get to know those people, the better you're going to be able to tell their story. And since then, it's been 6 months since their wedding. She texted me afterwards and is just like, "The wedding film is unreal. I'm so thankful for it." So the more you know the people, the better you will be able to tell their story. Who out there's enjoying this? If you are, let us know in the comments. Nick, after the wedding is over, you're going to want to debrief, and preferably that night. If you're too exhausted, that's okay. But while it's fresh on your mind, you want to write down notes of things that stood out to you, key moments, key things, so you can help yourself once the edit gets there. Because usually you don't film on Saturday and start editing on Sunday. Usually it's a few weeks later. Some of you have your backlog. It's a little bit later. So I just have a little form that I have printed out that I can write notes on the day after or whatever. Or
another thing that you can do is, get your voice memo app on your phone and just start talking about it, especially if you have, a 30-minute drive, home from your wedding. Just get in your car, open up that memo and just start talking about things that stood out to you in your day, and then save it. And now you have that in, if you're using an editor, you have this memo of stuff that you can send that to them as well. So all of this stuff can really, really work together. Yeah, John.
So as we're thinking, and before we get to this, I just want to recap again. We've talked about building this story and this relationship with this couple beforehand. We've done our work to know them. Now we've shot the wedding. There's so many more details we could go into about getting cleaner audio, all these kinds of things. But we've built this relationship with them. Now we've filmed these moments. We've thought through these moments. And because we've done this, because we've taken notes afterwards, we're able to then move into building a better story in the edit. And that's a really exciting part. Whenever you get to these edits after you've built this relationship, it's so much different than if all you did was show up on their wedding day. It feels cookie cutter because you didn't go past the surface. And this is where the magic happens, because whenever you're able to build stories like this, that's going to be what sets you apart from other filmmakers. The same elements pretty much happen at every wedding. The difference is the people and their stories and how they all built to this specific part and time in their life. So when you're starting to build the edit, you have to go back to your notes. You have to go start looking through these notes and thinking through this relationship that you have with your couples.
Yeah, definitely. Be mindful of that. Don't write it down just for the sake of writing it down. Go back and use it. Okay. Another thing that you can do with an edit is really lean into that emotion of the day and that story of the day. Okay. Really, really lean into it. If they were quirky and silly, like really lean into that. The thing that I do want to caution you on this is that I think wedding film culture is we need to have the most emotional film. We need to have this film that is going to make you cry. That's what we want. That's what gets the views on YouTube and TikTok and all of that kind of stuff. But I want to caution you to say, as you're building this edit, don't make the wedding day something that it wasn't. If you are truly trying to tell their story, make it as nice as you can as possible. But if it was a super fun and silly couple, don't try to make them this super emotional, sappy kind of film. Like, it just won't work. You're not going to do them a service. Same thing if they are super emotional, and there wasn't much like high energy stuff, don't make it a high energy wedding film. Okay. Because those things don't go. So lean into the day and lean into the story, know what you talked about, and really edit that way. John, talk about thinking outside of the box.
Yeah. A lot of people think, oh, I've seen, this person do a wedding film this way. So that's kind of how wedding films are done. And we've been talking about this a lot in our mastermind group, but leaning into what makes you different, and not trying to copy someone else's style, but thinking outside of the box. Once you know the rules, you can break them. So we put, there are no rules. But for me, I've just really been, when I'm going through some of these edits and thinking through some of these things or talking to my editors, I'm like, what if we did this? What if I found a clip of a VCR, like sounding like it's coming on, and with like the blue screen and the word play on it, and like I have like the noise of it loading a tape deck, and then we show some footage of the bride when she is a little kid, and like the very first thing, and then we hear her dad's voice talking about whenever she was a little girl, she used to do this thing, and then I'm seeing footage of her as a little kid doing that thing. And then it cuts to the wedding day, and that's a contrast. And it's like, oh, I'm building this story. Oh, it'd be really cool if we could hear this. Oh, that'd be cool. Let me add some of these sound effects over here. But not just to do it because other people are doing it, but because you're thinking, how can I paint a picture that no other artist would paint? Because that's what we're really doing. Mm-hmm. Yes, it's a wedding. And yes, that's what, there's so many things that are the same. But basically, you've been handed a canvas and some paint, and they're trusting you to paint something that nobody else could. And that is where you're going to start being able to really charge more and creating this urgency around your brand and the scarcity of like, oh my goodness, did you see that edit that John did with like the VCR? And like, who does that? Like, that's so cool. Like he had footage from, and that's what thinking outside of the box is. And like, you can steal that idea. I don't care. But like, not just staring at other people's films and trying to, like if I put a clock in my film ticking because I love sculpting with time, it just wouldn't feel right. It just wouldn't but if that fits you, if you're thinking outside of the box, you can really do a lot more in building their story, knowing all these things after the wedding.
Yes. And when editing, keep an open mind to anything that you could use to add to their story. I know that home video footage and pictures and other shoots, and that's coming more and more popular, and we're thankful about that. I remember 3 years ago, Jen and I filmed a wedding in Colorado, and with the package that they got an engagement session. And because of just how everything worked out, we literally filmed that the day before their wedding. Okay. And as I'm putting their wedding film together, I said that they get this engagement film and then they get this. And Jen's like, put some of that stuff that we took in their film. I was like, no, we can't do that. Like we cannot do that. Like that doesn't make sense. Like that wasn't the way, like that doesn't make sense. And now I am so upset that I didn't do that, because it would have added so much to their film, especially as they were talking about their lives and what they had built and what they're looking forward to and all that stuff, and cutting to some stuff of them dancing in their living room or playing guitar in their guest, that sort of stuff would have added so much. So don't be afraid. Okay. Don't be afraid to do those kind of things. Ask for some footage after the wedding if you need to, whether that's, hey, you said this in your film and I did not catch it, but I would love it if we could go out and, get some of this because your best man talked about that. Don't be afraid. One thing I did was, in a film that I did last year, the father of the bride talked about, his favorite photo when his daughter was about 10 minutes old, and it was him carrying her down the hallway of the hospital. And so what I did as soon as that wedding was over? I texted mom and I said, you have to get me that photo so that I can put it in the film. Okay, don't be afraid to ask for more stuff. What do you have to add? You
wouldn't have been able to text mom if you didn't have a relationship with mom. Exactly. You just wouldn't have had that relationship. And that happens a lot with me and with my edits. Like I will hear something on the wedding day where it's like I make a mental note, or I voice memo or note in my phone saying, I've got to ask mom for that. I've got to talk about getting engaged in Paris. And it's like, oh, like hopefully by that point I would have known that. But, if that's the case, then it's like, oh, I need to get a shot of them getting engaged, and, messaging the couple after their honeymoon and saying, hey, there's a couple of things. If you have them, I want them. I want some of this footage. Like, do you have footage from your honeymoon? I've started incorporating some of that, not that kind of footage, but like footage of them jumping into, sorry. I'm sorry. I couldn't help myself. I was just going to see if Nick was going to giggle. Maybe some of you will giggle, but getting footage of like them traveling, adventure, all that kind of stuff has been incredible. One of the most recent films I did after the wedding, because we had this shared Apple photo album thing, during the whatever it's called,
the reception,
honeymoon.
Okay.
So I'm frazzled now. I'm seeing people say haha in the comments, but they were just uploading as the week went by, like, different shots of them hang gliding or different. And it's like, yes, this is helping me tell that better story because I wasn't afraid to ask. And what it does is it positions you as this incredible artist in their mind, where they're just like, we are so thankful that we paid John $10,000 for this thing. We're getting a completely unique experience. And what happens? Mm-hmm. They tell their friends, and their friends are like, oh my goodness, I saw Mary Chris's video. It's so good. I just got contacted yesterday about a wedding I shot 3 years ago, and they loved what I did. And that's the kind of, what can ripple effect by doing these kinds of things.
Yes.
All right.
So we're gonna quit talking about John's director's cut of his films, and we're gonna move on a little bit. A few things, building a better story when you're in that edit. One thing that it took me a long time to do was remember to let moments breathe. Okay. And what I mean by that is if you have like someone in our mastermind group, actually this last week, a few weeks ago, shared a video of this first look with dad and daughter. And it was solely on the dad for almost the entire thing. And it was one of those shots where he was really emotional. It was really powerful, but it was probably like 30 or 45 seconds where it's held on this dad. And it was one of those ones where at first, oh, this is sweet. And it kind of got uncomfortable because it was holding on so long. But then it flipped that switch. You're like, okay, I can understand and I can see why it is that you held that one shot on that dad for so long. And if you would have tried to cut that down, it would have been less impactful for the film, for the couple, and that might maybe been a moment. So let a moment breathe. Don't just be like, okay, they only get a 5-minute edit, so I'm going to make this, as possible so that they only get 5 minutes. If it would add so much to the film by you holding on something a little bit longer or doing a slow fade to black in the middle or something like that to let it breathe a little bit, like it can become so powerful by doing that. So don't just try to edit it down to get to that link that you're, doing, give them 15 seconds, 20 seconds extra if it can add to the overall story.
As a side note, and this is not the heart that I go into a wedding film edit, but if letting it breathe means the film needs to be a couple of minutes longer, that is also a way that you can communicate to the couple. I will tell them, hey, you're getting an 8-minute film or a 6-minute film, but once I get in there and start editing, it might need to be an 8 or 9-minute film. It's an extra $350 or $500 for 2 more minutes of edit or whatever. But if that serves the couple better to let that moment breathe and let that film be a little longer, you can always make yourself like a different cut that you're going to put maybe on your website or something like that if you need it to be shorter. But if you're thinking about you first in that, instead of this is actually the best direction for this couple's film, like we need this setup longer for this first look or this interview, or just feels better to let it breathe. You can get paid more to do that at the same time, and you can be serving them better. So if it's something 10 or 20 seconds longer, that's great, but it might be worth putting that into your packages where it's like, we're going to bump films up from 6 minutes to charging more to get them up to a 9-minute film or things like that.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Another thing, I mentioned this earlier, show me, don't tell me. Just what I mean by that is if someone is saying something and you have footage that you can cut to cover that up, that just adds another layer. Like I said, the first time I grabbed your hand and then just showing a shot of the couple, holding hands or, doing something like that, that can be very, very powerful. Another thing that all filmmakers need to do when you're editing is ask, why? Why? And what I mean by that, why am I putting this shot here? Why, when the bride is talking about the groom, when she's specifically talking about the groom, why am I showing detail shots of the reception hall? Okay.
Mhm.
Whenever you ask that question, why, you can start to craft an edit that makes a lot more sense. Okay. Sometimes you just like, I need to fill it up, and I get that. But if there's a specific moment that's going on and you put a shot, it might not fit. So start asking that question, why? Okay. Something that I wanted to do here is I wanted to kind of show a breakdown of a timeline of me, of one of my films. Okay. I do edit on Adobe Premiere. Not that matters. You can still, pull from this, but the very first thing that I do, and this is a completed, film, that I did last year, but I'm just kind of highlighting and showing what I do. So the first thing that I do is I lay down the music, what I want, what order, if I'm using multiple songs, that sort of thing. So I lay down this one. Obviously, you can see that I had 2 songs on it. And so I put those where I wanted them. Okay. And then the next thing I do is I add all of the voiceover. So I'm adding in, this, the first thing that you say, that pink and the blue, like that is vows that the couple did. The yellow that I have is toasts. The green that I have is stuff that happens at the ceremony. So I start laying those in, and I am listening to the music. I'm putting stuff in where it makes sense with the music. Okay. If the music is doing a big swell, a big crescendo into something, I'm not having voiceover at that part because I want us to be able to feel that. Then I go in and I do the long task of, covering everything up with B-roll, covering it up with the shots. And again, I'm listening to what's going on, and I am putting in shots that help it make sense. And then the last thing, the last step that I do is I add in, and this is the bottom few lines, is I add in the sound design, the sound elements that take that film to another level. So that's kind of my process whenever I'm building a wedding film.
Yeah, I love all that. And I know we flew through a lot of stuff today. So people were asking in the comments, are we going to leave this up in the workshop? Yes. This will be something you can watch. Looking at Nick's timeline, being intentional when building the story, he is able to pick music that matches the vibe of the day because he knows the footage. And then he's able to then organize, and I do mine the same exact way as this, and there's no right or wrong way, but it's intentional with the music and then intentional with where things are being said to create, like we talked about earlier, creating conflict or creating unresolved things in your film, creating mystery, creating story, showing off that place, putting together the plot, all that kind of stuff. But you're able to put the music down, you're able to put the voiceovers down. If you're doing what was a really great point that Nick had said, just asking why when including footage, after you have all the voiceovers laid down where they need to go, you can then listen to the voiceovers and say, oh, right here, I definitely need shots of these things. And that will help you to fill in your must-dos on your edit on like, oh, I definitely have to put some B-roll of the couple right here or the B-roll of the groom right here because she's talking about the groom or whatever. And then you can start to really layer this in, asking those questions for extra footage, for extra stuff, and it all works together from the time that you've had them inquire with you all the way until after the wedding and delivering them a film that has a better story. And by building that better story and working on that craft over time, you are going to be able to charge more money. You're going to be able to shoot less weddings and make more money per wedding. It's going to be more fulfilling for you. So yeah, I mean, all this stuff for me, whenever we posted in the group, Nick, about doing the building a better story. And people were really excited to be part of this. And so many of you have stayed around for this. Like that's what's so invigorating to us because this is why we do what we do. Nick?
Yeah. Just wanted to point out a couple of things. If you kind of look at this timeline, you can see this first yellow section and the last yellow section. And then one of those in the middle there, that's all the best man, the brother of the bride, I believe, who got up and had this toast. And he talked about whiskey and how they love whiskey and how he bought this special whiskey that was one of a kind. And so I was intentional in pairing up I was sure to get shots of the couple drinking whiskey, whenever we shot them, and I just, was intentional in putting all that together. To tell that story. Another thing you can see after that first song, there's like that little 5-second break there. Okay. And that was a shot where this was in Big Sur, and they were, I shot a shot of a drone of the ocean and the water and the water crashing into the rocks and stuff. And so for 5 seconds there, I had just the sound design kind of let that breathe, because we had just kind of done this like quick crescendo moment, and I wanted it to kind of be like, just get that feeling of, wow, I'm really in this. And so anyway, it was very intentional. I asked why a lot. My wife is really great at when she watches something, she asks, why are you doing this? Why are you putting that in there? So anyway, just thought I'd share.
Yeah.
John?
Yeah, that's really good. And there's so much more that we could go into, of course, but this is kind of the foundation for building that better story. We're really excited because there's a lot more coming. We're going to be doing another free workshop over the next couple of weeks. But Nick, I think if you're okay with it, we can talk to them about the big announcement, if you're okay with it. Yes.
I am. Go for it.
That was great timing. Yeah. So we are so very excited to announce all of this today comes out of our complete wedding videography course. As of right now, you can go to completeweddingvideography.com and sign up for a free section from our full course. And it's coming out soon. We'll announce that here in a second, but this is all training from inside of the course. If you're already in the course, thank you so much. It hasn't been available for quite a while, and we're bringing it back, opening it for enrollment soon. So just a couple of things about the course itself. It's 25 plus hours of content, and we're adding more and more to it every single month. Business, shooting, and editing. You got a full module on everything that we know about business, from why you're doing it to your branding, all the way through your social media, packages, pricing, client communications. On the shooting side of things, we walk you through an entire wedding day and break down each section of the wedding day, before the shoot, during the shoot, audio basics, everything about groom prep, bride prep, lens choices, all of the good stuff in there about shooting to help you. And then editing, we walk through different reasons and why behind your edits, just a fraction of it that we showed you today on some of the editing. And then Nick actually walks through an entire edit for you. We are almost done with a brand new behind the scenes of me at the wedding I was talking to you about, where I was able to capture the bride right before the wedding, talking to her future father-in-law. So a brand new behind the scenes of me. It's like 2.5 hours long, just everything from an entire wedding day, seeing how I interact with people, how I get interviews, all that good stuff. A full behind the scenes of Nick editing a wedding from beginning to end, which is incredible. We've been recording all of our Zoom calls, all of the most recent calls we've had with couples, talking with them. So real Zoom calls with clients and planners. I just booked a $12,000 wedding via Zoom, and this is my call with that couple, just walking through with them, getting to know their story, getting them to empathize. And a ton of people are so excited about these calls, especially that are already in the group. Nick just did a Finding the Story meeting. I'm going to let you actually talk about this, Nick, real quick.
Yeah. So this is the couple that I'm shooting in Cabo this weekend. And I just recorded the whole session. I went over, okay, this is what it's going to be like on the wedding day. But then I broke down, okay, what are you excited about? What are you thinking about? Ooh, tell me your story. And this groom actually thought he was texting his brother, and he texted his now fiance and said something like, I just met the girl of my dreams last night. She's so incredible, all this kind of stuff. But he accidentally said it to her instead of his brother. And, they get a kick out of that. So, just exploring that kind of stuff and asking those kind of questions so that you can learn their story more. And we have those in there. We have tons of phone consultations in this where John and I talk to various brides, and you can just hear us kind of go through that. All of our digital templates from howtofilmweddings.com are available in this. We have our private community, and in that private community, we're allowed to ask questions and help each other and grow and that stuff. And then we also do live monthly trainings in that group. We just did one a couple weeks ago all about reception toast lighting. It seemed to go very, very well, and just helping others and encourage others on what the stuff that we're doing and what's worked well for us and how we can help you. And we're letting you know enrollment opens for this on April 19th, which is just a few weeks away. Well, it's like a week and a half away, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Monday after next. I just posted a link in the live if you want to grab a free section from the course. So we're 11 days, 17 hours away from opening up enrollment. We're going to be doing another free workshop next week, and then one more after the course gets open for enrollment. If this is something you've been considering since we released it last year, we have added so much more to it. It's so much better. It just keeps getting better as we get better. The community is growing. You're able to share your films in there. It's everything that we know to run our six-figure businesses. So if you thought this was good today, we go even deeper in the course. But yeah, Nick, that's coming out soon. Download a free section. I think there's some people still hanging on that are interested in a B&H gift card. I don't know if you know or not, but we're giving one away.
I think there are. So what we want you to do right now is head over to howtofilmweddings.com/giveaway. Head over to howtofilmweddings.com/giveaway. Drop your email in there, and then we're going to do a little giveaway of this gift card here in a second. So.
Oh, wow. I think I just posted the massive link, the auto redirect link.
No.
Well, it counts.
It does count.
All right. So howtofilmweddings.com/giveaway. We're going to give that away here in a second. But Nick, try one more time. Speaking of giveaways, next week, we are going to be giving away something incredible. I don't know if you know or not, but if you want to switch over to the next slide, Nick, we are giving away a complete wedding videography membership to one lucky person. And if you want to get entered for that, we're doing that via text. So if you text the word workshop to 918-300-4617 right now, you will be entered to win. We'll keep you updated on the upcoming workshops. Several of you are already on our text thread, but be sure to text that keyword so it'll put you in the group that is there for the free course. So next week, we're going to be doing that. So you have time to drop your digits, and yeah, that's great. So be sure to text us there. I am seeing more and more responses for this B&H gift card. For that free section, someone put there is no coupon code. It's just free. So you don't have to worry about that. You just dump your information in there, and then you can unlock that. And then, with it, you can see all of the sections and all of the stuff that are in the course right now. But you will probably one of the most helpful sections of the entire course. It's all about how we do our consultations and that sort of stuff. So, that link to the giveaway, man alive. It's right there on the bottom of the screen, howtofilmweddings.com/giveaway. John. Yes, I accidentally clicked the wrong button, and now I'm on someone's profile. There I am. I'm back. I was like, I can't see anything. Okay, so while we're waiting on people to drop their information in the giveaway, this is something we've been trying to do in some of our lives and things, is to paste or type out one piece of content or one note you got from today. Boy, I'm butchering this. I'm starting over. Write in the comments one thing that you learned today that really stood out to you. And then if you're watching this, copy and paste and steal people's comments so you can have some killer notes from today. Our mission from the beginning with How to Film Weddings is we wanted to elevate the wedding video industry, and we wanted to do that by helping people with their business, shooting, and editing, and everywhere in between. That's what this course is all about. It's about elevating the industry. People that are watching this, that are in the course, are commenting how helpful that it has been to them and how much it's changed their lives. That's why we do what we do, why we love this community so much. The DMs that we get from all of you saying that you charged more or your edits were better, that's what we live for. We love that. We love this community, and we're so thankful for you. If you do have questions about the course, we've got time. We're opening it in however many days, 12 days or so, but we want to make sure it's the right fit for you. We're going to be getting all that out there to you, all the details for it in the next couple of days. So we're very excited about this, very excited about the free workshops. I'm seeing a ton of people commenting. Nick, how are you on giveaway?
I am cutting it off now. It's being cut off.
Cool. I love it. I see all these comments. This is so good reading through. I love hearing that these are helping you all. And so be sure to be texting that number. And Nick, I'm ready whenever you're ready to go over to our favorite site in the world.
Our favorite site in the world, guys. It is the Wheel of Names. The Wheel of Names. Hold on 1 second.
Hold on to your butts.
Hold on to your butts, people. Just for 1 second.
I'm holding.
Okay, are we ready? Are we ready?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right, guys, in 3, 2, 1, here we go. And the winner is Info at T-Guest Media. Info at
T-Guest Media.
Is that you?
Holding commenced. Who is that? If it is you, post in the comments.
T-Guest Media. You got to be here. We got to. I know there's a little bit of lag here. Congrats. John, do we have a winner yet?
I don't see yet. I'm waiting.
You got to claim it. You got to claim it. If you don't do it, if you don't say that's me, then you don't win it.
Got to be there, Wes.
That's me.
Bronner says woot. Did somebody say it?
Somebody said that's me. I can see it. I don't see their picture.
I'm waiting. I don't see it. Okay, there it is. Tom Jennings. Tom Jennings says info at T-Guest Media is me.
Congrats.
Tom Jennings.
Tom, why don't you send us an email at hello@howtofilmweddings.com and we will hook you up with that $250 Amazon gift card.
Or B&H gift card.
That's what I meant. B&H. That's what I meant.
Nick, this is always so much fun. To everybody out there that's watching, thank you for being here with us for the hour and 9 minutes. Hopefully this helps your wedding film business. That's what we're all about. All the comments are always so positive and kind. We love this community. I'm going to go outside and enjoy some sun. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Nick, have fun in Cabo San Lucas. And next week, we'll be back on the same day, same time with a new free workshop and giving away that course. So yeah, we're excited. Nick, anything you want to add before we sign off today?
I don't think so. Thank you guys so much for being here. It was a great workshop and we'll see you next week.
See you guys.
So there we have it. We are so excited to announce that the Complete Wedding Videography course is coming back on April 19th. So mark your calendars. April 19th, Complete Wedding Videography course is coming back out. Right now, you can actually go to CompleteWeddingVideography.com and you can grab yourself a free section of the course. It is our consultation section. It is something that can help you right now, today, in your wedding film business. So that's CompleteWeddingVideography.com. Thank you guys so much for checking out today's podcast. Hopefully this Building a Better Story information was really, really helpful to you. John, do you have anything you want to add before we sign off?
No, I'm great. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we will see you on the next episode of the podcast.
Bye.
Are you looking for a better way to deliver your wedding films to your couples? Look no further. Our friends over at WedFlow provide the most flexible video delivery solution on the market. WedFlow is pay per project with no large upfront cost or commitment, and you can cancel anytime. Not only that, WedFlow offers a premium viewing experience for your couples, accessible on mobile, tablet, desktop, as well as their very own suite of TV apps. Each project comes with 10 years hosting and an experience for your clients that will blow them away. Stop delivering your films the old-fashioned way and give your couples something to rave about. Head on over to howtofilmweddings.com/WedFlow to check out WedFlow today.